Okay, so getting back into our coverage over Spawn for Spawn Sundays, we do pick back up with Spawn number 71. Now, when it comes to Spawn number 71, it does pick up literally after the ending of our last video. Now, in our last video, we actually saw the death of Freak. See, we were left to believe that when it came to Spawn, the way he was able to defeat Freak was having the creatures of the night, the creatures of evil, attack Freak by showing him his worst fears. We kind of find out that technically it looks like Freak was devoured. Had a hard time saying that. Devoured by the different creatures of the night. And so we're left to believe that Freak is officially dead now. Now, with that being said, you didn't have Spawn being confronted by Cogliastro. And remember, when it comes to Cogliastro, we still don't know much about this character at all. The only thing we know is that what he told Spawn so far. And honestly, it's not that much. The only thing we know is that apparently he was a Spawn as well. But we technically do not know what that means when it comes to Cogliastro, because he does not look like a Spawn. Now, when it comes to Cogliastro, every single time this man pops up, he's always just trying to give out some kind of life lesson over to Spawn. But the problem is, though, when he does give these life lessons out, he doesn't tell Spawn how to follow those actual steps, those actual instructions. The only thing he tells Spawn over and over again is stop being a chess piece for heaven or hell. Stop letting the two sides use you as a way to conquer the other side. It's time for you to take control of your own life. But again, the problem is when it comes to Cogliastro, he does not tell Spawn how to do that. Instead, the only thing he tells Spawn is stop killing. Stop doing things for hell. But that's really it. But it is kind of like, but you're telling Spawn to fight back against the forces of hell. But how can he? And the same thing for heaven as well. Now, when it comes to Cogliastro, he also explains why in the last story arc, Spawn lost his powers temporarily. And the reason why, because the area that he was in is called a Heaven's Patch. When it comes to a Heaven's Patch, it's kind of like this area that is protected by the forces of heaven or the energy of heaven. And so unfortunately, if you are a creature from hell in some kind of way, you are technically weak. You are technically powerless as soon as you enter that area. And unfortunately, when it comes to Al Simmons, him being a hell spawn, being a creature from hell, when he went into that area, well, he became powerless because he is a creature of hell. Now, when it comes to Spawn, he's very upset about the idea that Cogliastro did not even warn him about things like that. But again, it's Cogliastro saying, you're not listening. But it's Spawn saying, you're here to give me life lessons, but the thing is, you cannot explain the lessons that you're trying to give me. You cannot give me answers to questions I have. And so, unfortunately, you're just pointless to me. Like, what's the point for you to be here with me? Like, until you are able to give me the answers to my questions, but to your own questions as well, just stay the heck away from me. But then we jump over to Wanda and Cyan. Now remember, when it comes to Wanda, she is the ex-wife of Al Simmons. After he had died 5 years later, she got remarried to his best friend Terry, and they had a daughter, Cyan. Now in recent chapters that we have covered, when it comes to Cyan, she has been acting very weird. And what I mean by that is every single time she loses her pacifier that has been tied to a shoelace that used to belong to Spawn, she begins to act kind of demon-like she has been possessed, because she acts crazy as soon as she loses her pacifier that's connected to a shoelace. And so when it comes to Wanda in the last chapter, she was really freaking out about her daughter because she freaked out in the middle of the highway and got out of the car in the middle of the highway. And so when Terry comes home, her husband, Cyan's father, she tries her best to tell him, hey, something is wrong with our daughter. But unfortunately, he's not listening. And to him, he's kind of like, listen, she's like 1 or 2 years old. It's probably the terrible twos. It's just a stage. She'll get over it. Except for Wanda, she's kind of like, no, dude, I know my daughter. I know our daughter. There's something wrong with her. And the problem is you have not been home lately to realize things have been changing with your daughter, but also with us, our marriage. And so she walks away very angry, and we're kind of left to believe that there's now some bad blood between Wanda and also Terry. We did pick up with Sam and Twitch. Now remember, Sam and Twitch used to belong to the NYPD, but unfortunately, they were fired from the actual police department. Now with that being said, they became private investigators. Now in our last video, they were kind of part of a huge gang war that took place in Rat City. But the thing is that right now they're back in Rat City trying to find Spawn. But unfortunately, the entire area has been blocked off by the police because again of that gang war. There were a lot of people who got hurt in that gang war. And so you have the officers tell Sam and Twitch, you are not allowed to be in this area at all. And so you guys have to leave. And unfortunately, they have to follow those orders. And so what they do next is they go to a nearby strip club. And of course, they're trying to go there for some entertainment. But unfortunately, as soon as they arrive at the strip club, that is when everybody at the club begins to go crazy. And I mean literally violent crazy. They're attacking each other, they're throwing things at each other. It's complete mayhem in the strip club. Now you have Sam realize what's happening right now because someone in the back of the club who has a stripper in his arms could be the reason why everybody is freaking out because the way he is acting. And as soon as Sam sees him, this guy runs out the back door with the stripper. Now you have Sam and Twitch follow to hopefully save the stripper, but unfortunately when they get outside, she has been killed off and our mysterious character had disappeared just like that. And we have no idea who he was. But getting back over to Spawn, you currently have Spawn trying to hide out in Rat City from the police. But unfortunately, that is the moment where he is attacked from behind by the same guy we saw earlier that Sam and Twitch were trying to chase down. The guy who killed off a stripper. Now we kind of find out that his name is Wolf Ram. But we also kind of find out that he is a vampire. Now here's the catch though, because you would think that vampires would have some kind of connection to hell or probably be part of the forces of hell when it comes time for the big war against heaven. Except we kind of find out that technically vampires are used by the forces of heaven for different reasons. Either way though, when it comes to Wolfram, he wants to kill off Spawn because Spawn is a hell creature, but also to suck his blood. But here's the thing though, Spawn is technically weak right now because Spawn forgot one thing, that currently he's inside a Heaven's Patch. And with me inside the Heaven's Patch, unfortunately, his powers have been turned off. He is powerless. He is weak against Wolf Ram. And so when it comes to our vampire friend here, he is about to kill off Spawn once again. Except that is the moment you have Spawn get saved by Bootsy. Now remember, Bootsy was a character we saw in our last video. Somebody who was a secret agent from heaven who's supposed to pull off miracles for different people across the world. But apparently the reason why he is here is to stop Wolfram from killing God Spawn, because apparently God in heaven have big plans for Spawn down the road. And so as we dive into the next chapter, we do pick up with Spawn kind of freaking out for a very good reason, because he just found out that apparently Bootsy, this person that he has known for a very good period of time, was actually working for God the entire time as some kind of secret agent. Now we also do get confirmation that when it comes to Wolfram and the other vampires on Earth, they're also part of Heaven's force as well, or part of Heaven's army to fight against hell. But the thing is, we don't get the chance to learn much about the vampires in this book right here, because then you have the police about to arrive. And so you have Bootsy tell Wolfram and also Spawn to get the heck out of here. Regular humans cannot see them at all. But you do have Bootsy tell Spawn, we have to talk. You have to understand why you're so important when it comes to heaven winning the war against hell. But then we have to jump over to the nearby NYPD building. And the reason why, because we pick up with Sam and Twitch. Unfortunately, they have to report what they saw when it came to the stripper that got killed off earlier. And the reason why I say unfortunately, because the cops are not gonna do anything at all when it comes to figuring out who killed off that stripper. Either way, while you have our two characters there, they're then confronted by, well, Bootsy. And when it comes to Bootsy, you have Bootsy tell both Sam and Twitch how important they are, because their goal in this big, huge thing coming down very soon is to make sure that Spawn survives. If Spawn dies, it's all over. But if Spawn does survive, it'll be great for everybody around him. And so you have Bootsy tell Sam and Twitch, you gotta make sure that Spawn does not die. And so after that, you then have Sam and Twitch go to a nearby diner. Now, when they do go to a nearby diner, it's our two characters right now trying to think very carefully about the idea if everything they have gone through recently is just some kind of huge coincidence. Except they realize that every single person that also has been involved with Spawn has also been involved with them as well. So for example, Sheriff Banks, Billy Kincaid, Antonio Twistelli, and of course, Jason Wynn. They all point back to Spawn, but they also point back to Sam and Twitch. And so they are beginning to realize that something big is coming very soon. But on top of that, everything that has happened to them recently is not no huge coincidence. It was meant to happen. And so now it's Sam and Twitch wondering, how in the world can they really help Spawn out? We did pick up with a random homeless person known as Eddie Beckett. Now, when it comes to Eddie, he does seem like you're just random character, and really he kind of is. But the thing is, when it comes to Eddie, he has a hard life. He is homeless, but the reason why he is homeless is because of his own actions. Many different things has happened in his life, but it's all his fault. And unfortunately, he has not taken any kind of accountability for his actions. Either way, he does find a huge amount of necroplasm. Now remember, necroplasm is the reason why Spawn is still on Earth. Until he actually runs out, he stays on Earth as long as he wants. But the problem is though, as soon as he does runs out, he has to go back to hell. Now, when it comes to necroplasm, it also kind of helps him use his different kind of powers that he has. And so without necroplasm, unfortunately, he really cannot use his powers. And his suit is kind of like a symbiote. And so it also feeds off necroplasm as well. But Eddie here just found a huge amount of necroplasm because after Spawn had fought against Freak, well, he left a huge puddle of necroplasm on the ground for somebody to find, like Eddie. And so then we pick up with Spawn going after a group of men who are currently assaulting a young boy. Now, we have no idea why they are attacking this young boy for. They do tell us that he is wicked, that he is evil. But the thing is, we don't really get confirmation on what the boy did to be proven that he is actually evil or wicked. Now, we kind of find out, or we do get the idea that these guys are also vampires, which means that they could possibly be doing God's work. But again, we don't get any kind of confirmation to say that these guys are actually, vampires doing God's work, or even the fact they are vampires. Either way, you do have Spawn bust into the room and kill every single one of them to save the boy's life. Now, when Spawn leaves, the boy does lift up his shirt, and on his chest or stomach, he does see a brand on his body. It's Spawn's brand. And the thing is, Spawn has no idea he did that, but on top of that, we have no idea why he did it for, or why it's on the young boy's body. But you now have Spawn wondering, which side is he actually on, heaven or hell? And this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.